What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to Risky Ryan Trades. Today we're going to be going over the stock market, the apparent continuing sell-off, especially in tech and large cap names. We're going to be going over the Magnificent Seven, the indexes, and a few other stocks like SOFI and CrowdStrike, some of the favorites. But before we do, quick disclaimer. This trading is risky. This content is not financial advice, for entertainment purposes only. But if you find value in this video, if you could hit me with that like, and maybe even just hit me with a subscribe. Now, currently the markets are open. They're going to be open for another hour, so keep that in mind when I go over the levels to maybe check back on the chart to see how they landed. I would love to have done this video after, but I do have a day job. So once again, if you could hit subscribe so I can start making some money off this YouTube channel to deliver you better content. All right, with that being said, this is where the stock market stands at the moment. We have the Dow up just a little, but sliding throughout the day, very choppy. We have the NASDAQ sliding 1.28%. We have the S&P 500 sliding 0.59%, and the Russell relatively flat but positive at the moment with lots of support right around the 221.25 level. Looking at the overall heat map, you can see really the pain was located in big tech and semiconductors. Other areas of the market like financials, and over here doing well, but some of the big names: Costco, Procter & Gamble, Merck, Eli Lilly, GE, Eaton Corporation, Netflix, the big names, Booking Holdings, still feeling the pain. Some of the smaller names doing a little bit better. If we go into the ETFs, we can see by sector, tech's doing pretty bad. SMH not doing very good. SOXS was printing money today. I hope that you caught that. Energy, oil production doing all right. Everything else flat. Biotech getting hit, but financials and the regional banking holding up. We also have consumer discretionary, which we were talking about yesterday, how this was struggling. This is not something I would be investing in. I had a good day yesterday. I figured it would have a bad day today. And you can see, speaking of bad days, we did have some downward action on the Bitcoin ETFs. All right, let's dive into the charts. But before I do, actually, I want to show you something here. We're going to hit compare. Take a look at this. Starting today, the RSP, the equal weighted S&P 500, outperforming all three other: NASDAQ, S&P 500, and the Russell. So the RSP continues to be a fairly safe place to park your money to get exposure to the stock market without experiencing quite as much volatility. All right, to the charts. Starting with the S&P 500, this is today's price action. You can see there's a lot of downward pressure. I do have an inflection point line right here at 541.70, call it 75, and there has been a bounce into power hour, looking to test this line right here. So if it can break this later on today, we may see a continuation. However, if we go ahead and take a look at the daily, and I'm going to bring up my Ichimoku. Once again, finding support at the top of the cloud. We do have, a declining RSI. We have not yet hit the 30 line. And that is why I do believe that the pain is not over in this index. Not yet. We'll have to see how earnings go. if Microsoft and Apple and Amazon, if they knock it out of the park and Wall Street responds well, maybe we did find the bottom here. But part of me kind of doubts it. I think we're going to have some more downside before the recovery can take place. That is what my gut tells me. We do have earnings today after the bell. We have Microsoft, Arista Networks, AMD, Starbucks, EA Sports, and Caesars reporting. So this is going to be the big one today, Microsoft. But coming back to the S&P, let's take a look at the GAN levels. So we're still in this Fibonacci channel right here, and if I go to the weekly, we are currently on track to close under the Tenkan-sen, which would be very bad for the S&P 500, and that sits at 542, 543, I call it 543. So we're going to need to close over 543 at the end of this week. Going back to the daily, just taking a look at the volume, we do have decreasing selling pressure volume, which is bullish. So we are at an inflection point at the moment. Later on this week, corporate buybacks will reignite, and that could push these names higher, but I don't think that they're going to dive right in right away. That's what I think. Going to the NASDAQ has been hit much harder. It continues its downward trajectory. It actually made a lower low today, also on declining volume. And we are getting very close to the 452, 450 level, which is the support on the daily. And taking a look at the RSI levels, we have not yet hit 30, but we're getting closer. We are getting closer. We found support today on the 200-day moving average, but we are well within the cloud. So for the moment, we have some nearby support. However, I could see us coming down to touch this fib level down here, 441. I could see it happening. And looking at the daily price action, we do have a momentary bounce happening here, but it could find resistance at the cloud at about 459. Russell 2000 was looking a little better today, pushing its way into the cloud at the moment. Looking at the daily, we're in a range, but the range is slowly moving higher. We're still closing above Tenkan-sen. We're still closing above the 10-day moving average, and we are still within this GAN fan channel right here. So for it to stay within this GAN level, we're going to have a good day tomorrow, pushing us over the 224 level, or at least close to it. So I do think the Russell is going to remain fairly strong, at least stronger than the rest of the market. You can see at the moment we're up 0.22% at 222.22. What a coincidence. That's my cost basis, 222.22. Taking a look at the GANs for the Russell. So we do have a key level here at 227.07. I do believe that is yes, so that is a key point, getting over that level. We have blown past the GAN level at 211 in a very strong way on large volume this month, obviously. Looking at the daily, we do have some red days, but they're also decreasing in volume. And we did have a close under and then a close over Tenkan-sen. So I would suspect that this thing moves higher. I might not enter a new long position, though, until we can break this 227 level, because we are currently trading in a range. However, the Ichimoku does look strong, and that is bullish. Semiconductors, whew, yeah. They see, you know, SMH looks like it's going to head to this 226 level before all this is said and done. And if you're a SOX holder, I see the next point of support at 217. And the GAN angle sits all the way down at 208. We did have increasing selling pressure on semiconductors today. And speaking of semiconductors, let's dive into the Mag 7 and look at NVIDIA falling out of the cloud today. However, we have nearby support at 101, which is this GAN angle. And I would be absolutely shocked if we broke through this. We could see a wick through. We could see a wick through to close this gap, at which point I would be adding some shares at $96. I would basically have to. This is price action nearby support. So if we close this gap, I would suspect that price would immediately start to try to push back over this GAN angle. So that could be a really nice trade on NVIDIA coming up. And taking a look at my charts, let's see if I have any fib levels. 101 was that GAN angle, and today we tapped the 200-day moving average, and we're closing above this GAN fan. I do have a fib level drawn at $96, which just so happens to be right at the top of this gap. So $96 is on the table, you guys. It is absolutely on the table, especially since the overall semiconductor space looks like it wants to move downward as well. Let's take a look at Tesla, see how that did today. Tesla back under 225, tracking to close under Kijinsen once again. We've been talking about this for a while now. Tesla is in a battle right now with its downtrend line that dates back to, what is this, October of 2021. This has been the upward limit. And you can see we are on track to close under it once again. We popped up over and we're coming back down. So more pain to come, it looks like, for Tesla. It is still trying to battle this line though. But in my opinion, there's not enough positive catalysts to really keep this over. I think it's just the conviction of the Tesla bulls that are keeping this thing afloat at the moment. But in my opinion, not for any good reasons other than things that will happen years from now. So how that affects today's stock price, you tell me. I would not be in a hurry to enter a new long position in the Tesla at the moment. Sorry if you're a Tesla hodler. Okay, we're gonna look at, let's look at Microsoft. I'm gonna go quick on this because earnings is going to determine a lot. If earnings is good, we could pop back up over 429, 433, back above the angles, back above the Kijinsen. I would probably say I would land somewhere around 430, 435. But if we have a bad time with earnings, we'll probably enter the ARC and find support at $400. In which case, I'm going to be adding a little bit. Taking a nibble. Speaking of nibbles, Apple. Apple is kind of holding up here. It's in a holding pattern until earnings is my prediction. And notice that Apple is a little bit stronger than Microsoft. So I suspect that even if they both beat in the same way, they, same earnings beat, same revenue beat, or whatever, if all things being equal, apples to apples, I actually think Apple will fare better from its earnings release. And I'm a little bit more bullish on Apple going into earnings than I am Microsoft. So yeah, Apple, it's holding up inside the ARC and it's kind of in a holding pattern, and it's all going to depend on earnings. What happens from there? Meta. Out of the cloud, closing under the fib channel, not good. Could see 444. I would suspect that that would be support if this were to sell off after earnings. If earnings are good, market responds well, could push us right back into the arc, maybe over the cloud, back up to, 500 maybe. We could return there. So I do see limited downside, in my opinion, in Meta. If it were to sell down, I think, this is probably as low as it goes, I would think. However, we could come back down to, 406. So, no, I don't think it would. I just don't think it would do that. That's just what my gut tells me on this name. Amazon was sinking lower today, back into the cloud. Finding support at the bottom of the cloud still, though, at about 180, 179. Google, flat today. We're finding support over this Gann angle and this right here. To me, this wouldn't be a bad spot to pick up shares, keeping in mind that trading is risky, but it looks like it is finding support at these levels right here. And the pain in Google might actually be over. At least that is what it looks like for now. And if I go to Heikin-Ashi candles, we did get our first green candle right here. This is a reversal candle. Now it has to confirm. You have to get, see how you have a doji and then you have a no wick bottom? That's what we would need to see on this to know that, okay, it looks like these levels have confirmed some support. Now, if the NASDAQ overall has a bad next couple days, it could push this name lower back to the bottom of the cloud, but I mean, the next level of support is at 164, and if it were to drop from right now, that would be another 4% drop. So I won't be entering a new position in Google, but if it were another name, I would probably consider it. Let's talk about SOFI. SOFI had good earnings today, created a gigantic what are we doing kind of candle. I personally think Wall Street's playing games with us, trying to shake loose our shares so that before this thing moves higher. That's just what I think. Taking a look at a normal candle, it's a red candle, but just look at this range that we went through today. And we're still closing inside of the arc. And on a Heikin-Ashi candle, it is green. Getting a little bit more granular and a 1 hour chart, we're finding support at the bottom of this arc. This is what I like to see, an undercut and then just wicks. Actually, let's do regular candles. Yeah, an undercut and then just wicks. So this is looking good to me. It looks like 725 is likely to hold. It popped back up over it. Now it's trying to push up back against the cloud. And we did have a moment where we bursted over 790. But yeah, I'm glad that I held this through earnings. It looks like it's holding up. Didn't sell off, did it? And it held the level that it ran up to. So yeah, good for SOFI. Taking a look at CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike right now is a do not touch. It's not just a do not touch. It's a buyer beware. You might even short this damn thing because, okay, they just got news that they're gonna, Delta is gonna sue them, and then what? Next week, Congress is gonna investigate them or something. There's nothing but bad news on the way. There's nothing but negative catalysts to push this thing back down to like 173, which is this Gann level right here. This is just a death spiral is what this is. An absolute death spiral. So I would not be picking up shares of CrowdStrike, and I am super bullish on, super bullish on CrowdStrike, super bullish on the cybersecurity sector. But after what happened, there's going to be new regulations, is what I think. And over the next weeks and months, investigations, things like that, only negative catalysts coming for the cybersecurity sector, in my opinion. So I am steering clear of that sector for the time being. until the dust settles just a little bit more. And you've got like guys like Kramer telling, saying like, oh, the negativity is priced in. No, he's trying to save his hedge fund manager buddies who have a giant stake in this stock and didn't want to see this happen, and now they're really holding a bag. And so he's trying to do damage control for this name. And as much as I love CrowdStrike and I think they're the best, we're in for a choppiness at best. You know what I mean? Like the opportunity cost to hold this name when you could be putting it somewhere else is just too much it's just too much, really. Let's take a look at Bitcoin. We're going to go into crypto now. Okay, so what do we have here? Let me back this out to a daily. Sorry about this, guys. Okay. Closing below the arc again. We had gotten out of it. I'm starting to wonder if this GAN box is entirely accurate. So let's just hide. Let's hide that and just take a look at price. So today we're closing under Ichimoku. Not good at all. We are currently under 66,000 as of right now, 65,958. That is a key critical level. You can see right in here how these wicks pushed up, and then these wicks were above it and then pushed down, and then so that is a key level, 66,000. Now the good news is this selling pressure, at least today, is on lighter volume, at least for now. But yeah, this is not a good sign, it closing under the Ichimoku. Taking a look at Ethereum. Let's see if my GAN is any better on this. Looks like it is. Okay, so also closing under the Tenkan-sen. Not in a good way, but the good news is we did have a price rejection a little bit higher. There was a sink, and then we're kind of bouncing up, and this is on lighter volume. So, I wouldn't be freaking out on this name, but I wouldn't be entering a new long position or any new money into this. Solana has been looking strong as of late. Let's see how it's doing. Not looking strong right now. Tracking to close under the Tenkan-sen as well. So crypto in general this is a reduce your position signal for the Ichimoku. If it were to close right here, it could come back down to the angle at 172. XRP looking much stronger. XRP has been the strongest looking crypto for some time now. Look at all this price rejection. All this price rejection. We closed under the Ichimoku here and here, but still, like, look at this strong candle. So I like what I see on XRP, and yeah, I mean, it's hard to make, it looks like 65 cents is a pretty tough nut to crack. But if we can close a candle over it, we could see ourselves retest up to 80. So this thing is coiling for a breakout. Now, in the past, this name likes to dip really hard before it does that, so it can be a hard name to invest in. But this is looking really, really strong, you guys. And finally, Dogecoin. Finding some trouble on this angle here and this GAN level, but it's holding the area. I wouldn't be freaking out just yet, but we do need to see this thing turn around, because this all becomes resistance, and that's 3 levels of resistance right here at like 13 cents. So Dogecoin. All right. Well, thanks so much for joining me, you guys. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, if you could, please hit that like button. It helps with the algorithm. Also, you're probably seeing an icon that says subscribe. If you enjoyed the video, why don't you go ahead and join me? The more subscribers I get, the sooner my channel can fly. It's a new channel, so if you could click that, it would mean so much to me. And if you've lost money, who's brave enough to comment below what percentage your portfolio went down today? I'm curious. Mine is down about 0.8% right now. So how is everyone doing out there? Let me know in the comments below. But until next time, Risky Ryan out.